Training with those guys, I tell people, I'm like, if you never train with the guys from Dagestan, from somebody on their team, you don't know what it feels like. It's not regular jiu-jitsu. Like, it's like quicksand where you're in there, you think you're moving, you're looking for a way out. You know, I'm really good at flow rolling and everything. Then I'm training with them my last camp, and I'm like, I cannot move with these guys. None of them. Like, everybody on their team has that same style, same pressure on top, and I'm feeling it. And I'm like, I need to change what I do in Chicago. I need to change what I'm doing, because these guys are so dominant with the way they play, the way they grapple. It's like they're gonna beat everybody. Nobody's gonna mess with them.
So what did you do for striking?
You really want to know what I did?
Yeah.
You know, the USC game, I would use Henan Barral and Jose Aldo, and I would do stuff with them. I'd be like, oh yeah, this works in the game. So my friend at the time, Dustin Kimura, he would kind of hold mitts for me, and I would be like, look, I tried this in the game and it was working. Let's try it. And we did it. I figured it out from freaking UFC, the regular UFC game, the first ever UFC game.
What?
Yeah.
And he just turned a corner and then became the baddest motherfucker in the weight class.
Yeah.
And not just the baddest motherfucker in the weight class, but one of the best motherfuckers in the sport. When he knocked out Chandler and he beat the shit out of Gaethje, when he was putting it on people, you gotta go, God damn, he's good.
Like in any other sport, there are different styles in mixed martial arts. Basically, every fighter is unique, as they go through their own path, meeting a lot of different people in the gym. However, there are distinct concepts and approaches that athletes get associated with over time. In this video, we will take a conventional foundation as a basis and try to answer the question, which UFC fighters relate to a particular style? Please don't forget about the likes, comments with forwards, and subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Number 1. Boxing. The official opener of today's compilation is a type that is directly related to the fighter's skills on the feet, with a specific focus on the hands, dual gloves. If we take a close look at the entire UFC roster, looking for such fighters, at least a couple of guys that people expect to see an active work in the stand-up and boxing combinations from will be the first ones in line. And the first one, of course, is Dustin Poirier.
I see a lot of people talking funny stuff about, like, the leg kick didn't knock him out. What happened? Like, so DC says in the detailed breakdown, I kick Conor's calf, and Conor steps back and his leg kind of goes, and DC says, well, that's the leg kick that, you know, hurt his leg or whatever. But after that leg kick, he kind of reached down to grab the foot and threw an uppercut, and I was switch stance, so I threw a cross from my backhand that clipped him good, and that's when he took the step back and was hurt. I think that's a detail people are missing. That right hand.
Dustin Diamond Poirier has been performing in the main organization since January the 1st of 2011. For more than 12 years, he has been fighting the best of the best, showing an elite level of skills. Everyone knows that Dustin will tell you that he is a very balanced and versatile fighter. But if you try to find a breach in his armor on the feet, you might as well sign yourself a death sentence and get better chances of mercy.
And you gotta give credit to Poirier too, because if you look at the two of them, like after the fight, there was a big difference between the amount of damage that Poirier landed. Big difference. He was hitting him with big shots, and it wasn't just big shots, it was shots period. He was hitting him with really clean, well-timed shots with great head movement, great movement.
By the way, speaking about the Blessed One,
Max Holloway's performance was nothing short of masterful. Nothing short of masterful. The way he handled Aldo, the way he yelled at me after the first round. He gets done with the round and he runs, he's going back to his, and he looks at me and goes, "The man is tired! The man is tired!" He's a dude, Max Holloway is a real fucking warrior.
Max Holloway already proved the entire MMA community a long time ago that he rightfully carries the title of the champion regardless of the status, time, and a stage in the professional career. The Hawaiian is not just performing in the UFC since 2012, he is an artist in regard to striking technique. In his best years, the featherweight division was terrified of the fact that he can land a couple of hundreds of strikes in 15 minutes and not get hit with one.
Count it up! Count it up! I'm the best boxer you see, baby!
Look, right hand!
Oh my goodness.
I'm the best boxer!
We think that Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway can definitely have their place among the best boxers in UFC history. Number 2. Wrestling. Formally speaking, wrestling is a martial art, a hand-to-hand fight between two people where both try to overpower one another, taking them down or making them lose balance. In mixed martial arts, there are many decent wrestlers with a great and even impressive background, but still, their ground control and abilities to take the fight to the lower level is not comparable to the guys we are going to talk about.
There's nothing like when Conor was like, I only count knockouts in my record, and then you just see like a reply from Khabib that's like, I take people into deep waters and they discover themselves. It's like, dude, what the fuck is this guy talking about? What's scarier than a white Muslim just talking shit? Dude?
I take people into deep waters and they discover themselves. That should be the name of his book.
Dude.
That should be the title of his book.
Social media. Khabib, he'll just post, today he posted a picture of like him with a bunch of figs. Or fucking, it's like, dude, this is the scariest guy on earth.
Khabib Nurmagomedov is a walking embodiment of wrestling in mixed martial arts. This man dedicated his entire life to the sport, fine-tuning the skills every day, turning into a master of his discipline. Do you think you can defend from the takedowns? Or maybe you haven't experienced wrestling on the ground? And what about the stamina after a couple of intensive rounds of pressure on the lower level? If you think that you are quite good in one of the enlisted points, just get on the mat with Nurmagomedov and all of your perceptions about the world of wrestling will turn upside down. After all of his amateur achievements in combat sambo and a perfect record speak for themselves. He was the undisputed lightweight champion, and if we're speaking about that,
Islam is big.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what he's cutting, but he's got the perfect physique for that weight class.
Yeah.
Like he's very, very lean. You know, he makes the weight, and he's obviously way bigger when he's competing. He doesn't look anything like a 55-pound guy.
Islam Makhachev can be seen as many things. The successor of Khabib, the guy who was next in line during the passing of the torch, it doesn't matter. One should operate with facts, and the facts are that the juggernaut from Dagestan also gave the sport his entire time. Literally from childhood, he was training hard and conceiving wrestling fundamentals. Every Olympiad, local competition or a tournament, Islam always placed at the forefront. And the same thing goes to prize-winning places. So, it's no wonder that at his age, he is one of the most dominant fighters in the whole world.
You know, it's like what interesting? It was 2000, like 21 years ago. We're going to same school with Islam, and he was younger than me, like 3 years. And it was like in gym, they go to the one tournament in other city. He and my big brother Shamil, like they go like 15 people, only 2 guys become champion. Islam and Shamil. Okay, Shamil is the champion, I understand, but who are you? Who are you? He's like small guy, like 24 kilo, you know, it's like he come back with gold medal, you know. It's like.
Who mentioned the gold medal?
It was, I think the biggest thing with me, Joe, is there's satisfaction in my life. You know what I'm saying? I've done so much in the sport, and I can compare myself a little bit to Daniel. You know, if Daniel would have beat Stipe Miocic and he would have retired on top, like he could almost say retired as the 2-division world champ. And I don't feel like I have that chip on my shoulder. You know, as a wrestler, I retired from the Olympics at a very young age. You know, decided to come back 3 years later, but you know what I mean? It was already done. You know what I mean? I retired at the age of 21. And then now at the age of 33, I'm truly calling it quits unless there's a couple fights that if I do come back.
I like that word, unless. I like that word.
And what would we do without the Triple C? Henry Cejudo is an American freestyle wrestler. He became the 2008 Olympic champion, prize winner of the World Cup, a 3-time Pan American champion, and the champion of Pan American Games. He has all the rights to be called one of the best wrestlers in the world's best league of all time. Number 3. Kickboxing. The next style for today is a full contact sport from a standing position. Also, it is seen as a separate form of boxing that besides the hands involves the work with the kicks and all possible variations of using legs. The first fighters that we associate with this exact fighting style is none other than the last stylebender, Israel Adesanya.
Hey, like Roy Jones said, I said, y'all must have forgot.
The last stylebender is a fighter of a new generation who has been competing in the world's best league since the beginning of 2018. Israel got into MMA from kickboxing, which he began to do a long time ago. Throughout the years of competing, he had time to perform in many organizations, including the worldwide famous ones, Glory and Kunlun Fight. By 2017, he was ranked number 6 among the best kickboxers in the world. Even though he couldn't get the belt and become a true champion in this sport, after transitioning to the mixed martial arts, he climbed to the very top. This main advantage that he carried on from the past is his perfect sense of distance and control of movement, which allows Adesanya to act confidently depending on the given situation.
Izzy is just the most sophisticated of the strikers. He's if you watch striking, if you're a person who likes striking and you like setups and stuff, he's doing something very different because he's getting guys to move a certain way. He's reading you. Like you see when Izzy's moving around, he's reading you.
Yeah.
He's seeing if he can come forward with the right hand. He's seeing if you're looking at that right hand, he kicks your leg. Yeah. He's going to move out of the range of your power.
It's like he's thinking in 4D or something.
He's downloading all your data.
The same thing applies to his nemesis in the professional career.
You know what? We're talking about MMA. We all know what happened in the last 2 fights. I forgot about him. I hope you forgot it as well. I'm gonna fight you like it was the first time I was fighting you in my life.
Alex Pereira, in comparison to Izzy, succeeded a lot more as a kickboxer. In Glory alone, he managed to win multiple championships in different divisions and get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And 2 wins over the stylebender, one of which is by a knockout, once again proves the special exclusiveness of the Brazilian Poetin. After moving to MMA, Pereira quickly rose to the top, getting rid of almost every opponent in a dominant fashion. Another testament to our words you can find in Alex's most recent fight, who moved up to light heavyweight division and fought the former champion Jan Blachowicz. As you remember, there wasn't even a hint at the legendary Polish power, as Jan did not plan to take risks, and fighting the Brazilian on the feet is a great risk for every fighter who signed up for this bout. Overall, you see it for yourself.
This is this guy, Alex Pereira. He fights in the UFC now, but he's the only guy that knocked out Stylebender. He knocked out Stylebender in a kickboxing bout, and then he finally made his UFC debut, and I was so excited about this. I'm like, because this guy has this freakish, disproportionate power.
That's why both Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira are the best representatives of kickboxing. Number 4. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. BJJ is a martial art and an international combat sport, the basis of which is a work on the ground with active usage of submissions and chokes. Thanks to the legendary Gracie clan, this discipline became a must for every beginner fighter. Anybody who is personally familiar with fighting sports or at the level of a consistent viewer will tell you that a fighter who is able to adjust to any situation and execute submissions from any position is a big threat inside the octagon. Among the representatives of the World Best League, there are a few candidates for a title of the main BJJ artist of the organization.
I think Damian MAIA at 170 is a different beast. He's so goddamn big. And his striking has got himself to a point where he's not trying to be a striker, but he's good enough at striking that his distance is good. See right there?
Yeah.
His comfort level and his distance are very high. So because of that, and he's not taking any big chances, he's really just kind of like, yeah, that's what he's doing right there. Closing that distance like a fucking cat.
Look at that
dragging
takedown.
Condit to the
Jesus.
ground.
Let's see what he does here, though.
And he's been able to do this to everybody he fights. Matt Brown, who's a beast on the ground, he did it to him. He crushed Neil Magny this way. He's a totally different animal when it comes to like his level of pressure in jiu-jitsu. He's on another planet.
We agree with Joe Rogan without any preludes. Damian MAIA is a top Brazilian veteran who knows what he is doing and is a professional of the highest caliber. Absolutely every fighter on the UFC roster who accepted to fight him desperately tried to train a proper defense against his skills in just one camp, but in vain. All of them were easily taken down, gave up their back and neck, and of course lost in one way or another. Damian MAIA is a machine that is able to fold you in half at any given moment in a snap of a finger. And even if he lost, it was only to the best of the best and former champions. By the way, speaking about them...
Hey, there's something missing here. The champion has a name, and it's Charles Oliveira from the Bronx.
The career of Favela's King is a colorful journey of the beginner, filled with every possible trial and tribulation on the path to greatness. When Charles Oliveira arrived in the UFC, he was still very young, but already a very talented and ingenious prospect. Over the years, his mastery got better right before our eyes, and by the age of 30, he turned into a real cyborg who is able to find a finish from any position, both in the stand-up and on the ground. It doesn't matter if Du Bronx uses offensive or defensive jiu-jitsu, either way, you have all the chances to get caught with a submission or a choke from the most unexpected spot. After all, an absolute record of finishes in the history of the world's best league did not come out of nowhere. No matter what you try to oppose him with, Charles' BJJ skills will still find a key and a way to score the victory. It's plain truth, as well as the fact that we move on to the next style. Number 5. Versatility. Perhaps you are having some trouble of understanding, so we will explain it with more clarity. Those who play UFC 4 on the console often pick fighters who are able to show great results in all aspects simultaneously. Next to every one of them, there is a word: balance. These are the athletes that can force their will on their feet, are able to offer opposition on the ground, and feel comfortable in the cage no matter what happens in the moment. For example, such are...
This sport, the sport in general, it's kind of not fair when you look at it. Like, you look at Demetrius Johnson, it's probably right now the best
ever.
The best ever, yeah, I agree.
Mighty Mouse is today seen as a gold standard of MMA fighters, also being one of the most dominant champions of the main promotion. The entire career of Demetrius Johnson is one big story about how important it is to never stop in terms of growth and professional development. Just think about it. After losing to Henry Cejudo via split decision in 2018, Mouse moved to ONE FC, where he also holds the gold of the company and has successful defenses. And he is, by the way, 37 years of age, and he is not even a lightweight. Mighty Demetrius is one of the most well-rounded fighters in the history of the sport, and it's hard to argue with that.
Everyone back home, everyone listening, whether you hate me or love me, stand up for yourself. Don't ever back down. They try to bully me, ain't gonna work.
A great and terrible Alexander Volkanovski, despite a rather mature age, is seen as a fighter of a new generation. He came to the world's best league already after all the legends of the past and dismantled every one of them. From May of 2012 until February of 2023, he had only one loss from the beginning of his professional career, while also having 25 convincing victories in a brutal and dominant fashion. He has 5 consecutive defenses in the featherweight division and an attempt to break into the lightweight division against the unstoppable Dagestani Islam Makhachev. Despite the difference in size and the decision loss, Volkanovski showed the whole world that he is able to oppose any onslaught and style and perform at the highest level. It was him who took the tuck out of Islam and showed that any man can get it.
John, I think, was 22, right? As he was when he won the title. 22, okay? Only been fighting the UFC for a short amount of time. Opens the fight with a flying knee on a legend.
Oh, yeah.
On a legend.
You gotta have some balls.
Just balls.
You gotta have some balls.
Here it is. Boom. I mean, that is so crazy to do. Opening seconds of the fight.
But at the same time, you don't have no fear of the takedown.
Well, he wasn't afraid of takedowns, and also he was very proficient at striking.
And an example, idol, household name and mentor in terms of sport is the greatest fighter of all time, Jon Jones. Everyone is familiar with Bones' MMA career, so we will be brief and speak the language of facts. 11 title defenses in the light heavyweight title, brilliant victories against the best representatives of the sport, triumphal comebacks after the incidents that could easily end the career of any performer, the most elite level of skills in every possible aspect, wins over all types of fighters, from young and promising prospects to tough and seasoned veterans, ability to beat opponents at their own game with a full control of the situation, and a consistent winning outcome. All of that, Jon Jones.
There is nothing you can do to stop me from coming at you round after round with the most malicious techniques I know. You will lose this fight, Daniel Cormier. I want you to believe it. Every ounce of training you put in leading up to this fight will be a waste of your life.
Bonus spot, Knockout Masters.
When a punch hits your face, it's like your legs go, everything like shuts off. Like if you get rocked and you see like a person go down, it's not that they go down like, oh, there's so much pain, I have to go down. No, you get hit and everything shuts off.
Let's get one thing straight from the get-go. In fighting, it's impossible to go training with a goal to deliver knockouts and shut down opponents left and right. It doesn't work like that, and we get it. But still, even among the professionals of their craft and fighters that inspire terror and are able to shake their opponents with a simple stare, some performers stand out, looking at which one really has an impression that they were born to pile up bodies in the octagon. All of their insights simply scream that they are after your chin, and it doesn't matter at what moment you are going to fold in half and in which round. It's going to happen either way. In our opinion, the late Anthony Johnson has an honorable place among such athletes.
The Rumble Johnson fight was a tough one for you to swallow too, because it was in Stockholm. It was this enormous event. Everybody was there to see you. And in that fight, we didn't pick it up while the fight was going on, but you guys collided heads.
Yeah, it was a headbutt.
Yeah,
it was a. I'm not taking anything away from Anthony Johnson. That guy is a beast, and he hits hard. He's one of the hardest hitters in the.
No doubt.
The legendary Power of Rumble, who competed in almost every weight class except the female ones, originated back from the 2010s and even earlier years. Anthony was able to shut his opponents down with just a couple of accurate shots and get his hand raised like it was nothing but a formality. Every fighter who shared the octagon with Johnson, from welterweights to heavyweights, had a first-hand experience of the power he possessed, and which slapped everyone who wasn't lucky enough to face Rumble in their way.
But I'm wondering if you watched the finish and if you regret landing that extra punch when he was out, because it was clear that he was out and you hit him with that extra punch. Do you regret that, or is it hard to pull back in the heat of the moment?
I was engaged, so there was not. I don't even know what happened. I just threw punch and then that's happened. And I was already engaged, but I didn't have time to see that he's out.
Who would have doubted that when it comes to knockout artists, there would be Francis Ngannou? Call it what you want. Power, strength, a punch of the Cameroonian is a record in the history of the sport. We can end our narrative right on this sentence, but really, where else have you seen when to knock somebody out cold, a man needed just one touch of his glove? It's not even about an attack that the fighter prepared in advance and caught his vis-a-vis with the perfect timing. We are talking about an exchange of fast and not always precise haymakers that can send you into the shadow realm at any given time. Francis Ngannou can hold the title of the most terrifying knockout artist in MMA, and it's not just trash talk, but the truth.
On the hose. Hey, Wakanda forever. I had to do it. That's Ngannou right there. My man. King Ngannou. Yes, sir.
Leave your opinion in the comments below. Who in your opinion could complement the list of the best fighters depending on their style? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the new videos. And of course, hit the like button if you enjoyed this one. See you soon.